In a world driven by insecurities, Daniel, a shy nerd, unwittingly ignites a cosmic adventure while vying for Beatriz's heart. As he confronts fear and rivalry during prom, a bold act of bravery spirals into chaos. Will love conquer all, even when ethical dilemmas emerge? How much are you willing to sacrifice for someone you cherish? If you want to dive into real stories of parallel realities every day, in enigmatic, technological worlds that are completely different from our planet, subscribe to our channel and leave your like. Well, let's go. In a bustling high school nestled within a nondescript suburban town, the air vibrated with the anticipation of fleeting youth and the pangs of nascent love. Among the throngs of students chattering excitedly in the halls, Daniel Anderson stood apart, a solitary figure lost in the colorful pages of his comic books. A slight young man with tousled brown hair and a pair of oversized glasses that slid down his nose, Daniel possessed an unassuming demeanor that belied the fervor that churned within. His vivid imagination often transported him to alternate realities where he was a hero battling cosmic forces. This escapism provided solace against the relentless swirl of insecurities that enveloped him. At the heart of Daniel's infatuation was Beatriz Martinez, a girl who exuded a warmth that lit up the darkest corners of a room. With flowing chestnut hair framing her face, twinkling hazel eyes reflecting a spirit of kindness and adventure, and a smile that could melt the iciest of hearts, she was adored by many. Yet, it was not her beauty that drew Daniel to her so powerfully. It was the way she treated everyone with respect, empowering those around her and elevating the collective spirit of the school. Her laughter echoed through the corridors, resonating with a familiarity that made Daniel feel both blessed and woefully out of place. As Daniel observed Beatriz from a distance, he wrestled with a tempest of emotions, forged from the fears of rejection that loomed like dark clouds swelling overhead. She was admired by many, yet he felt invisible, a background character in the vibrant story of high school life. Each day felt like climbing an insurmountable hill, with the weight of unspoken feelings bearing down on his shoulders. The thought of declaring his affection unleashed a flurry of anxiety that coiled tightly in his chest. It was Ricardo, Daniel's steadfast friend and an embodiment of unwavering loyalty with his energetic demeanor and bright ideas, who ultimately nudged Daniel towards a daring decision. Ricardo had always been there to bolster Daniel's spirits, advocating for courage over caution. A tall, athletic kid with a mop of blonde hair and an infectious grin, he championed Daniel's cause with fervor, suggesting that he seize the moment during the grandest event of the school year, the prom. Daniel pondered the chances, his heart racing at the prospect, weighing the possibility of triumph against the bitter sting of failure. The school auditorium came alive amidst the glimmering lights, a universe pulsating with anticipation and dreams. Students floated across the dance floor, lost in the euphoria of youth, while psychedelic colors danced against the walls, creating a kaleidoscope of adolescent hope. The air was thick with the scent of fresh flowers and the distant melody of love songs. Yet, even amid this splendor, Daniel felt the familiar pull of anxious thoughts threatening to consume him. The moment he had wished for was upon him. He stood at the brink of destiny, trembling on the precipice of vulnerability. Gathering his courage, Daniel stepped into the spotlight, heart pounding with every footfall toward Beatriz. He navigated through the throngs of glittering gowns and dapper suits, his mind racing through the potential failures and successes. As he reached her, he felt as though time had come to a standstill. The world faded away, and in that suspended moment, there was only Beatriz. Her serene expression, framed by swirling strands of hair, mirrored an encouragement that seemed to whisper that he could do this. With a powerful resolve, Daniel cleared his throat, his voice breaking the air like a comet streaking across the night sky. "Beatriz, I know we're just friends, but I want you to know how I truly feel. You represent everything I treasure, light in darkness, and the promise of adventure." His words cascaded forthrightly from his heart, each syllable a ringing declaration of his admiration. The faces around him shifted from ambivalence to interest, surprise sparking within their eyes like fireworks igniting the night. However, this moment of vulnerability quickly ignited a volatile reaction. Among the crowd, Kevin Thompson, a towering figure with a chiseled jaw and an exuberantly confident demeanor, loomed like a predator watching the moment unfold. The adrenaline coursing through Daniel betrayed him. He saw the jealousy ignite within Kevin's cold, piercing gaze, a dark counterpoint to the warmth around him. Fueled by a fierce possessiveness over Beatriz, who had not reciprocated his affections, Kevin's expression twisted into a scowl, his fists clenched tightly at his sides. As the festivities continued into a dazzling evening, the atmosphere morphed from joyous celebration to an undercurrent of tension. Daniel, having delivered his heartfelt speech, felt a flicker of hope as Beatriz's cheeks flushed crimson. Yet, this was short-lived. The creaking of old wood and murmurs grew louder as Kevin approached Daniel, a tempest of rage brewing within his chest. His posse, a cadre of summonses to chaos, encircled them like shadows, amplifying the growing concern rippling through the crowd. Daniel's pulse quickened, fear knotted his stomach. In that moment, a grim revelation unfolded. His brave leap into admiration had unwittingly cast him into an unforgiving storm. Ricardo, sensing the impending confrontation, scanned the room, devising a plan to extract his friend from the chaos that was brewing beneath the glimmer of the disco lights. These moments began to unfurl like a dark shroud over the event. Friends squirmed in anxiety, breaths held tight as if collectively bracing for an urgent cataclysm. "What should we do?" A voice hushed near them, urgency lacing the words. "Keep it cool," Ricardo replied, though his voice was thick with tension. "He's just trying to intimidate you. I'll think of something." As the momentary tension escalated, Daniel was thrown between excitement and dread. His heart felt as if it might burst, the sheer weight of longing and impulsiveness colliding with the harsh reality of confrontation. He realized betrayal lay not just in the burning jealousy of Kevin's eyes but within the very fabric of the social dynamics they were trapped in. He loved Beatriz, yet how could he protect her from the fallout of his declaration? The anxiety morphed into an internal dialogue, a battlefield within, merging the thrill of hope with the chilling echo of inevitability. What lay before him was no longer just a tale of teenage crushes. It had spiraled into the realm of conflict, where ethics danced on the razor's edge. What worth did love hold if it invited violence? What duty lay on Daniel's shoulders when the act of expressing reverence could evoke wrath? The question spun in his mind, a whirlwind of what-ifs and maybes. The essence of love intertwined with ethical dilemmas evolved into a grander narrative, unfathomable yet mesmerizing. Just then, during the flickering twilight of colors and laughter, destiny intervened. As the colorful light of the prom flickered and illuminated the joy of the revelers, shadows filled the corners of the venue, each whispering of forgotten rivalries and unspoken sentiments. The night thrummed with the pulse of racing hearts, laughter rolling like waves against the shore of innocence, yet perched ominously high above that festive energy was a tempest waiting to strike. Kevin, the towering figure of teenage bravado, stood in the midst of this sea of jubilation, but his focus was singular. He was a predator sharpening his claws, agitated by the smoke of jealousy curling around him. The after-party had been hastily arranged at Daniel's home, a modest sanctuary adorned with flickering lights and laughter. But now, it rapidly became a pressure cooker. The storm of Kevin's rage echoed in his clenched fists, as his posse followed his gaze, edging closer toward Daniel, who remained lost in the throes of fear behind a makeshift barricade of snacks and streamers. Daniel's heart raced, a thunderous drum in his chest. His earlier triumph seemed like a mirage, fading with each passing moment as Kevin's voice boomed across the room, demanding satisfaction. The lines had been drawn, and Ricardo, Daniel's steadfast friend, felt the weight of their reality settle heavily on his shoulders as he formulated a plan. The tension in the air thickened, and whispers of rebellion brushed against the walls, mixing with the cacophony of youthful inebriation and uninhibited laughter. With every step Kevin took, he became more of a terrifying shadow looming over Daniel's sanctuary. Desperation began to color Daniel's thoughts, rendering clarity into a fog of confusion. Should he stand and confront this bear of a bully, or remain hidden, hoping for the tempest to pass? He allowed himself to visualize the warming light of Beatriz's smile for just a moment, a beacon in a battlefield that threatened to consume him. Suddenly, in the corner of Daniel's attic, a flicker of light caught Ricardo's attention. He rushed over to it, an innate curiosity guiding his steps. A dusty relic lay partially hidden beneath unfolded blankets, pulsating softly, casting an ethereal glow against the cobwebs and shadows. It was an ancient artifact, a glowing lightsaber, seemingly forgotten by time. Ricardo's pulse quickened. An idea sparked, igniting a fire within him that matched the fierceness of their imminent conflict. "We can't let him intimidate us, Daniel. We have to show him that we're not afraid." As exotic as it was, the weapon spoke of a time beyond their comprehension, its energy humming with a latent power, a powerful symbol of courage and defiance. Ricardo grasped it, and in that moment, the obscurity of fear was replaced by a burgeoning confidence that swelled in the room like electricity in the air before a storm. "Together," he said, a rallying cry infused with determination. Daniel, swallowing hard against the rising tide of apprehension, nodded resolutely. They had allies among their friends, and if they could only unite their spirits, perhaps the storm brewing outside could be turned back. Moments passed, but they felt like hours. As Kevin broke through the haze of party revelry, his posse flanking him, the atmosphere shifted. The music faded into the background, and the energy of the room dissipated into a tense silence that enveloped everyone, swallowing laughter whole. Daniel felt the weight of his own insignificance pressing down, yet, clenching the lightsaber, he felt a spark ignite. This was not just about him anymore. It was about standing up against the darkness. "Daniel," Ricardo urged, gripping his shoulder tightly, asserting an anchor in a torrent of uncertainty. "We need to be ready. This is our moment." The room tensed, and the air crackled with impending chaos. Friends exchanged concerned glances, unsure of what would unfold next. Kevin's mocking laughter sliced through the silence, a taunt that clawed at Daniel's heart. To confront this chief antagonist, they would have to gather every ounce of resolve they possessed. With the lightsaber rewired into their shared dream of bravery, the duo emerged from their hiding place. Their friends formed a loose circle around them, uncertain yet fervent. They were about to turn the tide of their fate. The promise of a showdown loomed large, and adrenaline coursed through their veins as the ground beneath them trembled with anticipation. In the midst of this brewing storm, the perception of friendship shifted. Vulnerabilities laid bare transformed into an unrefined courage. An alliance was forged that night, one that illuminated the shadows. Each heartbeat synchronized as they drew their ground, challenging the specter of resentment. "Kevin," Ricardo shouted, channeling the essence of a leader, a reverberation of bravery echoing through the chaos. "This isn't just about you and Daniel. It's about what happens next. We're not going to back down." Kevin sneered, eyes glinting with disdain, his atmosphere commanding and intimidating, a stark contrast to the vibrant party that had just been. The flames of conflict blazed, a primal urge to protect and retaliate bolstered by the realization that not all battles are fought in isolation. Each member of their group represented a chapter of resilience being penned in real time. The crowd demanded an outcome, anticipation knitted tightly into the fabric of their chaos. The lightsaber glowed softly in Daniel's grasp, empowering him amidst the turbulence. The once quiet sanctuary of laughter and companionship felt like a battleground awaiting its war drums. In that moment, a cacophony of collision echoed as Kevin lunged forward with his posse, igniting the ignition of what would transpire next. Time seemed to stretch, the colors of the room blurring as the confrontation sparked unfiltered, primal chaos. With each interaction, ethical dilemmas fluttered like restless specters in the air. Was retaliation justifiable in the face of threats? Did protecting oneself equate to escalating the conflict? As tensions boiled, each character stood at the precipice of a decision that could reshape their identities, igniting a moral struggle that extended past mere confrontation, the repercussions echoing into their futures. Salvation and chaos intertwined, a tapestry woven in the fabric of their choices. Daniel made his choice, his heart urged him into the fray. As a barrage of energy erupted around him, he wielded the artifact, feeling its warmth surge through him, encapsulating the whirlwind of emotions coursing through his veins. Courage lit paths through the chaos, delving deep into the conflict of values, promising the hints of a resolution as friendship solidified into an unbreakable bond under duress. Awareness of their power grew amid the turmoil. Each breath they took became a testament of endurance. The glowing light seeping through Daniel's fingers became more than a weapon. It morphed as a spirit binding them, a beacon announcing their unwillingness to submit. Amidst the chaos of the after-party, Daniel and Ricardo navigated the remnants of a tranquil night shattered by Kevin's intrusion. In the home's attic, they found not only the glowing lightsaber, but also an array of forgotten relics from Daniel's family, a collection of lost memories, each holding stories whispered through generations. The air thickened with nostalgia, drawing them to the artifacts that seemed to pulse with life. Dust motes danced in the glow of the lightsaber, illuminating their faces with an ethereal sheen as they delved deeper into the past. "It's a weapon of tremendous power, its origins arcane," Ricardo said, mesmerized by the craftsmanship of the hilt. Its grip was a mixture of sturdy metals and a material so sleek it felt almost alive in their hands. As they turned it over, intricate engravings glinted under the light, revealing a tapestry of ancient symbols, the language of a distant civilization whose tales were yet to be fully unveiled. Daniel's heart raced, fueled not just by adrenaline but by the weight of history. They stood at the precipice of something monumental, caught not only in a battle for acceptance but in the throes of a cosmic legacy. The presence of the lightsaber conjured images of heroes battling darkness, vibrant galaxies clashing in a struggle for supremacy. Could they be the ones to ignite such a fervor? Could they truly embrace the role thrust upon them? Just then, Beatriz entered the attic, her eyes wide with both awe and concern. She had been searching for them, driven by the urgent need to match courage with the simmering conflict outside. "What is that?" she gasped, her breath hitching in her throat at the sight of the glowing weapon. "We're going to fight back," Daniel proclaimed, his voice trembling yet imbued with newfound purpose. The camaraderie and intensity they had forged in the moment pulsed through the air, knitting their fates together more tightly than before. "Fight back?" Beatriz echoed, her brow furrowed. The idea of escalation haunted her with unvoiced fears. Could violence truly be the answer? Yet, in the depths of her heart, a flicker of resolve emerged. She would stand with them. This moment demanded unity, a convergence of spirits fueled by the desire to confront not just Kevin but the mounting pressures that defined their adolescence. Decision made, the trio descended the attic stairs, establishing a clandestine pact. They pooled their ingenuity, cultivating a plan as robust as the glow of the lightsaber itself. Tension radiated through the air. They needed to outsmart Kevin and his gang without succumbing to the depths of brutality. The streets outside the home had transformed into a battleground, a canvas of fears yet unpainted. As they emerged into the cool night air, the world dimmed, cloaked in shadows and mystery. Daniel clutched the lightsaber with a fierce grip, feeling its weight of expectation. Indeed, it felt as though it were not merely a weapon of war, but a beacon for the lost and misunderstood, a symbol of defiance against the bullying that pervaded their lives. Beatriz, caught in the whirlwind of thoughts, pondered the ethics behind their impending confrontation. She grappled with the realization that victory through aggression could lead them down a dark path. What if they emerged victorious yet transformed into the same monsters they sought to thwart? The idea gnawed at her consciousness, but the flicker of hope lingering in her heart reminded her of the strength of friendship and the power of courage. Meanwhile, Ricardo, the strategist of the group, busied himself drawing maps in the dirt with a makeshift stick, creating escape routes and potential rally points. His eyes sparkled with determination, yet uncertainty fluttered in his chest. He, too, felt the weight of the impending clash, not merely for themselves, but for everyone who had ever faced down cruelty with dignity. Would their plight matter among the cosmic revolutions swirling in the universe beyond? Steeling themselves, they took to the streets, the vibrant neon lights reflecting the burgeoning energy of their collective resolve. The urban sprawl became their backdrop, a maze of familiar surroundings morphing into a perilous arena. Sounds of laughter and music echoed through the night, a stark contrast to the tension coiling within them. Each step echoed in the silence left by their dreamlike state, alive yet burdened by the realities that now defined them. As they approached a deserted alley, their hearts raced to the rhythmic pulse of adventure. Yet, lurking near the back shadows, Kevin and his entourage lay in wait, reveling in the atmosphere of impending confrontation. Daniel's palms grew clammy as he caught sight of Kevin's familiar silhouette, a figure emboldened by the weight of power and vindication. "Time to show him what we're made of," he whispered, channeling the raw energy that surged through him. The lightsaber glimmered ominously, its hum swelling into a palpable vibration that resonated with their intentions, wrapping them in a shroud of courage. As Kevin stepped into the meager light of the street lamp, his expression twisted into a sinister grin, a predator relishing the thrill of the chase. He was flanked by a group of equally aggressive friends, their faces betraying an eagerness for the conflict. This was not merely a confrontation over feelings. It was a duel of primal instincts, a battle to assert dominance over the ever-shifting terrain of teenage hierarchies. "Look who decided to play hero," Kevin sneered, eyes narrowing as they locked onto Daniel and his weapon. "You really think you can take me on with that toy?" An ember of defiance ignited within Daniel. He took a deep breath. The moment had arrived. "We're not afraid of you anymore." His voice echoed with a strength bolstered by the artifact, every ounce of his vulnerability stripped away like an unwanted skin. It was raw, and it was real. Before a response could form on Kevin's lips, Daniel ignited the saber, revealing its radiant glow in full luminescence. The very atmosphere shifted, charged with tension. "Beware," they seemed to say, the balance of their destinies was about to tip. Shadows flickered in the corners of their periphery, enhancing the mystery surrounding them. Who would emerge victorious in this celestial dance? "Stand back, Beatriz." "Ricardo," Daniel shouted, channeling the gravity of their predicament into a sphere of commitment. They had to do more than just fight. They had to show that courage could exist without malice. With his free hand, he gestured for them to step behind, protection was a necessity in this war about perceptions. Yet, as the battle lines were drawn, the unyielding complexity of their choices settled behind them. The bright future that awaited them suddenly hung precariously in the balance, a universe divergent of paths lined with either acceptance or rejection. As the clash commenced, echoes of determination mingled with hollow dread, combatants exchanging attacks and parries that reverberated with so much more than fists. The moon hung low in the night sky, a brilliant silver disk surrounded by wisps of dark clouds. The air was thick with anticipation as Daniel, Beatriz, and their friends sprinted along the deserted streets, an energy charged with adrenaline coursing through their veins. With each step, they could hear the distant shouts of Kevin and his crew, their voices a chilling reminder of the confrontation that awaited. As they sped through the winding alleys of their neighborhood, lanterns flickered in the dark, casting elongated shadows that danced ominously on the brick walls. This was not merely a chase, it was a trial by fire, a crucible designed to forge their identities amid the chaos of adolescence. The revelry that had filled the night was now overshadowed by fear, yet it acted as a catalyst, propelling them deeper into their adventure. The group skidded to an abrupt halt as they reached an open plaza, its vastness echoing eerily under the pale moonlight. They were engulfed by a strange sense of vulnerability, an unsettling contrast to the warmth they had felt just hours ago. In the center of the plaza stood a grand, ancient fountain, its waters flowing endlessly like time itself. The stones were worn and etched with symbols from long ago, remnants of a past filled with tales and secrets, hinting at civilizations that once thrived here. As they gathered, Ricardo's face was illuminated by the soft glow of the artifact they had discovered in the attic, the glowing lightsaber. The blade's luminous hue cast a radiant light that flickered, complementing the tension in the air. Ricardo, who had always held a passion for strategy and video games, began outlining a plan, his demeanor shifting into that of a determined leader. "We need to draw them in," he reasoned, glancing at Daniel, who was nearly trembling with anxiety. "We use the fountain as our last stand. It offers us cover. We can take advantage of their anger." Daniel nodded, his brows furrowed. He could feel Beatriz standing close, her presence a comforting anchor in this tempest. Kevin's crew was not just another group of school bullies. They were emboldened by a sense of power and entitlement, fueled by the adrenaline of the chase. This added an intensity to Daniel's resolve, a determination to reshape his narrative. As the echoes of footsteps grew ever louder, they prepared themselves for what lay ahead. The stakes had risen dramatically, transcending a simple conflict over affection. This was about identity, about standing firm against those who sought to undermine one's spirit. In this climactic moment, Daniel was not just defending his feelings for Beatriz. He was embracing his right to exist without fear. In the background, the sounds of approaching footsteps crescendoed, and soon, over the edge of the plaza, shadows emerged. Kevin leading his band of followers, their faces twisted with aggression and intent. The glint of the streetlights bounced off something metallic in Kevin's hand. A moment of clarity hit Daniel. Kevin didn't just want to assert dominance. He was prepared to escalate this into violence, perpetuating a cycle of fear among them all. "Stay close and hold onto the lightsaber," Ricardo instructed as he positioned himself at the front. "We'll need a united front if we are to pull this off." As the confrontation loomed, Daniel felt the gravity of their predicament weigh heavily on him. The darkness threatened not just to envelop the plaza, but also the future they were fighting for. Beatriz glanced at him. Her eyes shone bright with courage that mirrored his uncertainty. He drew strength from her gaze, the bond between them fortified, shining brighter than any weapon could. The tension was palpable as Kevin's group approached, their shouts mingling with the distant sounds of nightlife from blocks away. With each step forward, Daniel could feel the air crackle with the intensity of impending conflict. At that moment, it was clear. This confrontation was not merely about love or jealousy. It was a battle against the very nature of vulnerability and emotional truth. "Nice little gathering you have here," Kevin sneered, a cruel edge to his voice. "Thought you could just take what's mine?" The atmosphere thickened with the unspoken challenge. The confrontation had escalated beyond playful taunts into a personal vendetta. Daniel's heart thudded like a war drum as he stepped forward, compelled by an unexpected surge of bravery. This wasn't just about Beatriz. It was a defining moment that would carve a path for all of them. "Kevin, this isn't what you want," Daniel asserted, voice steadier than he felt. "You're just angry, but that doesn't give you the right to hurt anyone, especially not Beatriz or me." Amidst the clamor of voices, Beatriz squeezed Daniel's hand, a wordless promise passing between them. Challenges unfolded with them positioned at the precipice of their own identities, and the lines between right and wrong blurred amidst youthful turmoil. Snarls erupted from Kevin's side, and, without warning, he charged forward, a barricade of hostility smashing into their ranks. The chaos erupted in a flurry of limbs and shouts, a visceral clash of teenage fury. In the midst of the whirlpool, adrenaline fueled resilience, and the fear that once paralyzed them transformed into a sharp focus. The glowing lightsaber swept through the air, illuminating Daniel's determination as he fought alongside his friends. Each clash, each desperate motion reflected not just their struggle for survival, but their desire to assert their place in a world that often felt indifferent. It was a fight for recognition, for respect, for the right to stand unfazed in the face of adversity. Kevin, consumed by rage, lunged at Daniel, and for a fleeting moment, it seemed the storm would swallow them whole. But as Daniel parried with the artificial blade, he understood. This was not just a physical battle. Wave after wave of unresolved emotions flowed through him. A mix of regret, desire, and the desperate need to break free from the chains of cowardice. Through the chaos, the ancient fountain behind them gurgled softly, its waters a serene reminder of the moments lost to uncertainty. As they held fast against the tide of aggression, a profound realization rose within Daniel. The stakes had never been clearer, not just for them, but for anyone who felt unseen in a world often clouded by judgment. In the midst of the pandemonium, the eerie shadows of the plaza enveloped them all, a metaphorical fog that masked their true hopes and fears. The battle raged on, and amid the cacophony, every clash echoed the complexity of their youth. As he tossed aside the remnants of his past self, Daniel started to come to terms with his own potential for strength and growth. But even as he valiantly thrust his opponent aside, another figure loomed, emerging from the swirl of chaos, a flickering silhouette that caught the edge of his vision. As dawn broke over the horizon, its soft hues illuminating the remnants of the night's turmoil, a sense of calm enveloped the land. The chaos of the previous hours began to dissolve into the echoes of the past, replaced by a quiet stillness that awaited the unfolding of new possibilities. The first rays of sunlight danced across the dewy grass, casting shimmering reflections that glittered like the stars from which they had come, a stark reminder of the extraordinary journey that had unfolded beneath the vast, cosmic tapestry. Daniel and Beatriz stood before each other amidst the remnants of their urgent flight. The air crackled with a blend of exhilaration and vulnerability, as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath. The horizon stretched infinitely behind them, filled with potential and uncharted paths, while the shadows of the past retreated. In that sacred, serene moment, they felt the weight of the world shift. Gone were the echoes of Kevin's threats. In their place was a bond forged in the crucible of adversity. Daniel, still grappling with the surrealness of his experiences, took a deep breath, allowing the crisp morning air to fill his lungs. The adrenaline that had surged through him during their escape began to ebb, replaced by an overwhelming sense of clarity. The fight had illuminated his heart and mind, illuminating a path forward that was once obscured by fear. We didn't just survive, he thought, we triumphed. His gaze shifted to Beatriz, her silhouette outlined by the dawning light, making her appear almost ethereal. Beatriz's eyes sparkled with a mixture of relief and exhilaration. She had always admired Daniel from a distance, an enigmatic figure in the backdrop of her life. Now, here he was, standing beside her not just as an acquaintance but as a partner, a true ally born of their shared trials. We've crossed a threshold, she mused internally, understanding that their experiences had catapulted them into a new reality where they could explore the depths of their connection, unfettered by the constraints that had once bound them. In the hushed stillness, they exchanged unspoken promises, their minds dancing through the moments that had brought them to this precipice. Undeniable feelings flickered between them, igniting a vulnerability that had been hidden beneath layers of adolescent fear. With the sun rising in the backdrop, casting warm, golden light over their figures, they stepped closer to one another. A mere heartbeat separated them as they shared their truths, raw, authentic, and unblemished by the night's tumult. "Do you think we can really come back from this?" Daniel asked, the sunlight illuminating the resolve etched into his features. "Not just us, but everything we've faced?" His heart raced as he sought the answer in Beatriz's eyes. He found a spark, a flicker of hope dancing just beneath the surface. Beatriz smiled softly, a gesture steeped in sincerity. "We're not just coming back, we're stepping forward. We're different now." With a newfound courage born from their shared experiences, she grasped Daniel's hand, encapsulating the unity that had been forged on the battlefield of emotions. In that moment, they both understood that change is a catalyst for growth, and that every step forward would carry the lessons learned from their trials. As they started to stroll through the remnants of the night, the discarded decorations from the party and the echoes of laughter that had transformed into cries of conflict, they envisioned their future filled with potential, complexities, and grandeur. The journey ahead was uncharted waters, yet they felt an inequitable affinity for the unknown that beckoned them forward. "Graduation is just the beginning," Beatriz mused aloud, more to herself than Daniel, a glimmer of determination in her voice. "It's a stepping stone into a new life." In the storytelling of their lives, they began to weave an extraordinary tapestry of hope. Each thread resonated with the whispers of their affection, the rich hues of camaraderie and the deep shadows of past fears now interspersed with the vibrancy of possibility. They had emerged from the crucible of conflict stronger and wiser, bearing the promises of love and friendship like a banner of resilience. The road ahead might be fraught with uncertainties, Daniel pondered, oblivious to his surroundings as he ambled through the arrays of possibilities that cascaded like shooting stars in the vast expanse of his mind. "But I feel like I'm ready to face it with you." A swell of emotion washed over him as he felt the weight of the cosmos resting on their shoulders, a reminder of the endless journey that lay before them. The newfound alliance between Daniel and Beatriz had catalyzed inner transformations not only within themselves but also among their friends who had stood steadfast in their greatest hour of need. Ricardo, ever the loyal companion, had proven that camaraderie could weather any storm. Together, they had forged a brotherhood, an indelible connection grounded in shared struggles and victories, a bond that would carry them into the cosmos of tomorrow where anything was possible. As they continued down their path, framed by the brilliant glow of the morning sun, they began to discuss their plans for graduation, each word tinged with excitement and curiosity about what awaited them next. Yet in the background of their conversation lingered the mysteries yet to be unraveled, of the ancient artifact they had uncovered in the attic, the glowing lightsaber that had changed everything, a relic steeped in power and significance that still begged for discovery. The memories of the night's chaos began to fade under the relentless march of time, but the truth of their journey remained firmly etched into their souls. They made a pact to return to that attic, to fully understand the artifact's origins, trusting that hidden within its glow lay the keys to their burgeoning destinies. In the realms of the unknown, like explorers venturing into the void, they felt the thrill of possibility rush through them. As they moved farther from the remnants of the tumultuous night, Daniel and Beatriz found themselves face to face with the vastness of the sky, the culmination of a world filled with both light and darkness, hope and uncertainty. Here, beneath the grandeur of the morning sun, they experienced a collective sense of renewal. Every promise they made echoed within their hearts, refracting like sunlight through prism glass, creating new colors of emotion that intertwined their fates, pulsing with the certainty that they would not face their future alone. Ultimately, the unfolding narrative of Daniel and Beatriz was not merely a story of survival. It was a testament to emerging from chaos stronger than before, a journey filled with courage that illuminated the stars within their souls. They understood, as they stood at the dawn of new beginnings, that love cultivated through the trials of life could blossom into something extraordinary, a force that could conquer the darkness and illuminate the ever-expanding universe of possibility. And so, as they strolled hand in hand towards the horizon, filled with dreams, hopes, and unanswered questions, the tale of Daniel and Beatriz became a journey into the unknown. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.